Hi, it's good to be back with another tutorial on the making of this beautiful short shift kimono dress with embellishments on the neckline area and the sleeve area. This is something that's totally beginner friendly, very easy to make. Now let's get into the cotton proper. So yeah, I have two pieces of fabric on fold because I'll be cutting for both the front and the back at the same time. And the wideness of these measures from the nape of your neck to how long you want the sleeves to be. Now this outfit is going to have a 3 inches band on the sleeve. So whatever you are folding, just minus whatever inch band width you need. From the top here to this point here is the length of my dress. I have half of an inch for stitching the shoulder and bending allowance at the bottom, as you can see. Now on this line, which also serves as my shoulder line, I'm going to be imputing my neck width measurement of 3.5 inches. You can use whatever works for you. And then my sleeve length, of course, don't forget excluding the 3 inches band for the sleeve. I'm coming down 1.5 inch for my shoulder slant, and I'm going to be connecting it to my neck width. Now from here, I'm going to be taking my neck depth for the back, first of all, 1.5 inches. This includes the bending allowance. And then for my neck depth for the front, 7.5 or about 8 inches, depending on what your client wants. Then on this slant area, I'm going to be coming down by 10.5 inches, and this will serve as my sleeve opening. Half of an inch will be used for joining the shoulder, and then 1 inch will be used for the side seam. So the total of whatever I have here, I'm also going to just impute that over here so that I can square this line out. Now the next measurement we're going to get is our shoulder to waist measurement. And then from my waist measurement, I'm going to be coming down by 9 inches, 9.5 inches for my hip measurement. So I'm making this markings on this side as well so that I can square out this line. So here I have my chest line, I have my waist, my hip line, and then the full length of this dress. Now going over to our horizontal measurements, I'm going to be imputing a quarter of my hip measurement on this hip line, and then I'm adding 3 inches extra allowance, and this serves as ease and side seam. The total of whatever it is that I have on the hip line is what I'll be imputing on the full length of this dress as well. And then next measurement I'll be taking is on my chest line. A quarter of my bust measurement is 10 inches. I'm imputing that. And then I'm adding 3 inches also allowance, and that serves as ease and side seam. So typically some people, whatever you have on your hip line is what you will take all the way to the chest line, but I want this to be a little bit tapered at the chest line and the waistline. So whatever measurement I have on my chest line is what I'm going to be imputing on my waistline. So I don't want this shift dress to be totally straight. I want it to be fitted a bit. So I'll proceed to just squaring out all the lines. Now at this armhole point on my chest line, I'm just going to create the kimono curve because we don't want it. We're not going to be cutting it this way. So that's what I'm doing right now. So a total of whatever it is I have here, I'll also impute that here, but I'll minus half of an inch because I don't want my sleeve opening to be totally straight. And then I will square this out. So I have about 17.5 inches on the sleeve line, So what I measured on the chest line was actually 17 inches. So I just came in by half of an inch. And then I'm coming down 1.5 inches from my waistline for my pocket opening, and then of course the pocket opening is 7 inches. So I'm going to be notching this after I cut out my fabric. So now we can proceed to cutting this out. And if you're new to my channel, thank you so much for watching. My name is Juliet and I create sewing tutorials that I post on YouTube. Please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Now we have my back pattern here already cut out, and then this is my front piece already cut out, and I'm going to be cutting facing for both the front and the back. So after cutting my facing, this is what I have. As you can see, it follows the shape of the front piece, and then this is for the back. But before we attach our facing, of course, like the image shows, this front fabric has an embellishment in front. So I have this sequenced suede fabric. It's on fold. So what I'm trying to do is just place this, making sure that the folded edge of the sequence fabric aligns with the folded edge of my main fabric. So you want to make sure that you place this properly so that they align. You can use a pin to hold this down, okay, so that it doesn't move. So I think I'm just going to flip this over to the other side so that we can see what we're cutting. So yes, I believe this gives a better view. So I'm just making sure that I align the folded edge properly, and I'm securing this down with a pin. And then now I can just proceed to cutting out the V shape on the main fabric onto the sequence fabric. And then after this is done, I've flipped it over to the other side so that you can see. Now the next thing to do is to determine the length of the sequence fabric on your main fabric. For me, first of all, the wideness of it, I want to use about 5.5 inches, which is almost the entirety of what I have up there. So I've chalked that, and then the length of it is, I want it to come down about 1.5 inches away from my waistline. So I'm marking that right here. And then I'm going to be connecting the wideness of it to the length of it. So you can do a straight cut, or you can use a curved shape. So I think I'm going to work with this curved shape rather than just a straight rule. So that's what I'm tracing out right now. And then I'm going to cut this out and place it on my main fabric. So this is what it looks like after cutting it out. Now you can take this to your sewing machine and just run a stitch at this point here and on this side here as well. But for me, first of all, I think I'm going to be holding it down with the use of a hemming gum first of all before I run a stitch holding both sides down. So I've held this in place with a hemming gum, as you can see. Yeah, I'll just iron this out properly later on. So the next thing we'll do is to introduce our facing, and I also fused my facing with cloth stay, air stay as you would call it. So I would run a stitch holding this down here, and then I would also run a stitch on my facing and then turn my main fabric with it. And then I'll also do the same for my back piece as well. Right sides facing each other. I will run a stitch on the neckline and then turn it over before we proceed to other sides of the cloth of our fabric. So I'm done here. This is what it looks like. I also went ahead to attach the pockets. As you can see, I'm going to be weaving the selvage area later on. And this is what the wrong side looks like. And then this is a back piece. I attached my pockets as well. And then I've turned the neckline with my facing. As you can see, it's looking all neat. And then I gave it a very good press. It's important to know that ironing is very important when making outfits. So the next thing to do now on our front fabric, I have this glitter bias. It's a 1 inch glitter bias. Okay, I'm going to be using it to pipe the rough edges on the outside of this sequence material. So really what you need to do is 1 inch, just fold it half of an inch and then run a stitch all the way holding both sides down before you place it on this v-neck design on your main fabric. But for now, I'm just going to measure out the length of what I need and add some extra inches just in case. So like I said earlier, I'm just going to take this to my sewing machine, hold it down, run a stitch all the way and then place it just like this. And then I will run a stitch holding both the bias and my main fabric together. So I'll do that at the on my sewing machine, and then I'll also place my back fabric on my front fabric, right sides facing each other, and join them both at the shoulder using half of an inch on both sides before we work on the sleeve and the side seam. So after attaching both pieces, this is what it looks like. I've attached my bias. I run a stitch inside and outside and then join the shoulder. So now to work on the sleeve or our band, I have two pieces of fabric here because I didn't have enough fabric. This serves as my lining and my main sleeve. The measurement of this is 4 inches. So I'm going to be using half of an inch to hold this down together, and then I will turn and then I will use half of an inch to join the band to the main fabric. So I'll do that for this side and then this extra piece for the other side of my sleeve. At the end of the day, the width of my sleeve is going to be 3 inches. So after attaching that, I'm now going to use 1 inch to join the side seam. I'll take 1 inch all the way to the pocket, half of an inch, 1 inch down, and then I'll fold the hem of our outfit. And yes, our outfit is ready. So guys, this is a final look of our outfit. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to tune into our next tutorial. Bye and stay blessed.